Question. Some believe it is possible for a person's original soul to leave their body and for a new soul to walk in. It has been said that souls walk in during a period of extreme stress or trauma or during a period of intense personal problems. Occasionally, other walk-ins claim their entry was made following an agreement with a previous soul. I know some Ascended Master students who believe this and are relating to this, but to me it seems like not a real deal, not a volunteer at least. An embodiment is an opportunity. Why would someone want to swap? What are your comments on this? Well, a number of years ago, I think back in the late 90s, early 2000s, this was a big phenomenon on the internet, I remember. A lot of people were talking about walk-ins. And the way I see it is that I understand that you can go through very severe trauma and you can make a decision that you don't want to deal with this. You don't want to experience it. So it's almost like the conscious you that I always talk about, say is the core of your being, can make this decision to simply withdraw from the outer situation or even the inner situation in the emotional, mental, identity bodies, that it doesn't want to deal with it. It's too much for it to deal with. So I think it is possible that a person, the conscious you of one person, can simply shut down. I don't think it's healthy, obviously, because the moment you do this, you are aborting your divine plan, your life plan, because you are shutting off the possibility that you could grow from the experience, that you could find a better way to deal with the experience. So I think it's something that is definitely not the best option to do. And it's not in your divine plan to do this, obviously. But I think that if that is the case, then the person opens him or herself up to other things coming in. But let me just make one thing clear here. This is not a positive thing. And I think the person is right as saying that to me, it seems like not a real deal, not a volunteer at least. In other words, it's not something that's planned ahead of time. It's not something, I wouldn't even say it's another soul that walks in the sense that it's a being who is waiting for a chance to take embodiment. I don't think anybody who is waiting to come into embodiment on earth would do this. So what can happen is that you have what's called a discarnate soul. That means a person whose body died, but it has such a low self-centered state of consciousness that it can't move up to a higher realm and receive help from the Ascended Masters in between embodiments. So it's still attached to the physical realm. And I think a being like that can walk into somebody else's body and start doing things with the body. There can also be lower forces like demons, entities in the astral plane, for example, who are influencing a person who has basically shut down. You see, when you shut down, when the conscious you really shuts down, abandons responsibility, you're giving up your free will. And so you're basically saying, I don't want to exercise my free will, I don't want to make choices. And if you are still in the body, then obviously something else can come in and say, well, I'm going to make choices for you because I love the opportunity to do that. And I think this is a phenomenon, as I said, I don't think it's a real phenomenon in the sense that anybody plans on this, but I think it has some reality to it in the sense that it can happen. And this, to me, explains what you have multiple personality disorder, where you have examples of people who have, when they are in one personality, they have a particular physical disease and they have physical symptoms of that disease. When they shift into another personality, they don't have the symptoms anymore. So there are extreme examples of this. There are people who have had many of these personalities. And I think the explanation of it is that that person's conscious you said this. I don't want to make decisions. I don't want to take responsibility. I mean, I'm not saying it said this constantly, but it's essentially what it did. And this opens up that other beings can walk in and use that physical body to do various things. And so I think it's obviously, you think about it, it's the conscious you who decides to do this abandons its responsibility. You can't really abandon your responsibility. So you decide to shut down, some other being walks into your body and does something that creates karma. Well, part of that karma is yours. I'm not saying all of it, but part of it is yours because you allowed this to happen. You enabled that being to use your physical body to do something. And so you can never really escape responsibility, and I don't think it's it's not a growth strategy for sure. It's not even really a survival strategy because you're going to make karma for it, and it's going to be harder for you in your next embodiment. You're going to have to deal with the same issues in your next embodiment. And it's the same thing as physical suicide. You know, you cannot run away from your psychology. So your next embodiment, you're going to have to deal with it all over again. And you will have to do this until you make a decision. No, I'm not going to shut down. I'm not going to withdraw. I'm going to look at this and I'm going to deal with it head on. And if people have the teachings and tools of the Ascended Masters, then you have tools for dealing with psychology. There are, of course, many other tools, including traditional psychology. So instead of, you know, even considering something like this, you would want to use those tools to resolve psychology. Now, I understand that there can be a few people who feel like, I'm a walk-in. I allowed this to happen. You know, they might feel, I'm the being who walked in. Or they might feel, my body was taken over by somebody who walked in. So I don't really have responsibility. But if you are able to think this way, if you are able to be conscious of this, then you can do something about it. And you can ask yourself, why did I allow some other being to walk in? What is it I don't want to look at in my psychology? Or if you are the being who walked in, you can say, but why haven't I moved on from the physical realm and gone to a higher realm to seek help? What is it in my psychology that's keeping me there? In either case, the solution is resolve psychology. Look at the psychology you haven't been willing to look at. Look at what you are running away from. Because there's something you are running away from, and your life will not improve until you face it head on and use the tools that are abundantly there to deal with it. This may sound harsh, but it's just reality. I mean, it is really reality. Your life experience will not change until you take responsibility for doing something about it. And the tools are there to do something about it.